Coach Neighbors, are you there? I can see him, but I can't hear him.
Okay, maybe I can hear you now.
Oh, man, I was on a rant. God bless you, brother. I was telling them they're going to be in for a little bit of schooling today. And as usual, Zoom didn't work. Facebook streams like that. The only thing I can tell you is it streams like that. No problems.
So what do you think's the problem with Facebook?
I think they're having a problem with Zoom. I think because
I see.
I think everybody I know, entertainer, celebrity, sports figure, or whatever, is all using Zoom. And that creates a big bandwidth issue.
Oh.
StreamYard is lesser of the two. So it hooks up like that.
So you can stream. Oh, so StreamYard works on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I know I saw you on the other day. I was like, I thought maybe they were banning us because you were broadcasting or whatever.
I could care less, brother. I'm just
me
like you.
either.
I could care less because you know why? They ban me on here. I'm on the radio. So you can't ban me completely. You're not going to be able to stop me. Can't turn me off. You can turn me off, but I'm still going to be broadcasting. So there's going to be many millions of listening. So it ain't going to happen. Not on my watch.
I got you.
Not anymore. I told you. I am just like you. Frustrated, aggravated, manipulated, tired of all the bullshit. Tired of it.
Pissed off related.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I am so, like today I woke up in a bad mood. And just everything keeps just happening, you know. And I'm trying to stay positive, stay strong, and stay happy. But sometimes you got to let your bad side out. You got to let people know you mean business. You got to let people know, hey, you know what? I'm going to school you today. I'm going to teach you. That's what I love about you. When you tell people, hey, it's time to learn. It's time to learn. Learn from somebody that knows stuff that you don't know. And that's how we learn together.
Yep.
So I'm fired up. I'll tell you,
I'm fired up too today. The Airbnbs, the city here in Lawrence, Kansas, has decided that they're going to block the Airbnbs. Now, I don't know if they've completely I don't know about all that. All I know is my wife has a couple, and I'm not having it. So, I'm looking at her. It's like, so the leash is off, and she's like, dude, that's all I need to know. So I've been on a campaign just to try and educate people in the city of Lawrence to what's really going on. And that misguided control that the cities think, and this is not just the city of Lawrence, that misguided control that the city thinks that they have is due to the fact that they have control of the deed to your property. And my eliminating property tax lawsuit package is not, it is about eliminating property tax, but that's not the main goal of the package.
Right.
And I used that title because if the title was, I'm going to show you how to get control of your deed, you'd say, what the hell? I have control of my deed. It's over there in their office, sitting there waiting for me or whatever. And you wouldn't understand. But when we talk about eliminating the property taxes, that is something that gets people attention right away because everybody is suffering with this problem. And so I started posting information about that, and some of the people on the Facebook page, for the Lawrence, Kansas group are idiots. I'm just going to say it. And all they do is just looking for drama, and which is fine with me because I don't care. If they're
I'm going to give you the truth no matter what. Yeah.
Right. They're creating drama. People are going to come and look at it. And I'm going to be putting it right on the table for you. So
there you go.
I sold quite a few I dropped the price of that package down to $100 just to make my point. And the point is I ain't here to gouge nobody and I don't play. And I have quite a few people invest in that package over the weekend, over the last few days.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to put it back down to $100 again for the rest of this week until next Monday.
That's awesome.
And not only that, okay, and this will let you guys know how I roll and how I feel about this. Not only that, the lawsuit packages for the judicial and the non-judicial package, I'm going to drop those down to $200 from now until next week for all the listeners, for the people in my Facebook page, for the people in my YouTube group on the YouTube channel. I'm going to drop it down so people can afford it. Now, what I would like is for the people who are investing in this deal, I would like you to, number one, leave me a Google review. After you look at the documents, you have to decide if those documents have value for you. You should be able to leave me a Google review on the value of the documents. And I ask people to make sure that they note in their review that they're going to do a follow-up. You know, you can't leave more than one review, but you can certainly go back and do a follow-up and add to it. And that's perfect for my situation, because it's not fair to me or all the other people to make us all wait till this is all over before you decide if the package has value for you. You should be able to decide that when you review it and read it or whatever, and you see what's going on with it. And then come back later and do a follow-up on it, on how things work out. Because in my program, we're not going into court asking the judge to rule on stuff so we can win. Okay, that ain't never going to happen. So, you know, basically your goal is going to be to stay in court and get what you need on the record for your lawsuit. And one guy told me, well, I don't want to just stall in court all day. Well, I didn't say stall, I said stay. And if you don't want to do that, then I'm suggesting that you probably go and pack your stuff. You know, I mean, I ain't playing. You know, the number one goal in foreclosure defense should be to stay in your house. That should be the number one goal, not to win in court, not to get after the lender that people get emotionally wrapped up in about. The number one freaking goal should be to stay in your house. And if you don't have that as your number one goal, then I don't think that you're on a very good program. And so one of the things I wanted to, well, we have several things I want to talk about. I want to get the sell thing out of the way so I don't forget when I get wrapped up and I start rolling.
Right.
Our main subject today is going to be about how to handle attorneys in a hearing. And this is not just, it's basically going to be in a foreclosure hearing, but it's not just that. These same concepts and principles that you're going to learn today, you'll be able to use against attorneys no matter what kind of situation you're in for the most part. And the number one thing that you're going to be addressing, the only thing that you're going to be addressing in foreclosure court, if you plan to have any success in making them stand down and get out of your face, is challenging the court's jurisdiction. Now, before we get started on all that, I want to thank you, Gene, for having the courage to allow me to come here and talk to all these people about this stuff that nobody else wants to hear about. And
my pleasure, brother.
I had a guy from another station. I don't remember. He was on Facebook and wanted me to come to his station, and you know, I recognize the guy's name, and he's tried to join my group several times, but he's never like talked to me or messaged me or anything. And pretty much, you know, you can't join my group unless you're in foreclosure, or unless when I asked you why you're interested in joining, you come up with something like what you said. When I asked you, I said, so why did you want to join my group? You know, and you said, well, I've been following you on Facebook and your shit's badass. And I just, you know, I want you on my show. Done. Of course, this guy, you know, told me he liked me to come in his show. And I was like, well, okay, so why are you interested? You know, the other things you told me was about what you went through.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's personal for you, which put it on the same level with me.
Right.
So we're on the same.
Yep. Yes, we are.
So this other guy started talking, and so I'm asking, so why were you interested in me coming on the show? I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I'll go on the show. You can take shots at me too if you want to. I just want to know, so how this is going, so that if I start taking shots back at you, I'm doing the right thing. Anyway, so then he started going off about stupid crap, and he wasn't interested in helping people. He was only interested in bragging about what he was doing.
Yeah.
And making a big deal about what he was doing and kind of downplaying what I was doing. Now, the only person that I do that with is Norm Bradford / Tim Barley. Anybody else that's helping people, I don't trash them or talk crap about them, because I'll tell you right now, there's more than their whole system is based off of fraud. And there's more than one way to attack it. There is more than one way. So you can't sit here and tell me that what Paris Faye is doing is trash. Okay, she just had won some big argument in court, and Tom Kibler. There's several other people too that are helping people, and Leo Blass. There's several other people. Oh, but when you listen to one person, everybody else is stupid except that one person, and everybody else is ripping people off except that one person. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So in the process of all that hoo-ha, it came out what I went through. And someone was saying that, I've been locked up and all this stuff. And so I want to address that real quick. And yes, I have been. They tried to make me shut up. But before we get to that, I want to tell you, I have never been convicted of any crimes, ever. So that's the main thing.
Right.
Now, my wife and I used to own a secondhand store. She operated it. We fixed used appliances. She actually repaired the appliances, the refrigerators. She done all of that. And she started selling things on eBay. And our kids are, you're doing well when your kids are smarter than you. So our kids taught us how to use a computer and how to put listings on eBay. Well, the pawn shops were complaining to the police because they were concerned my wife was interfering with their business. But the pawn shops were rude to people. Very rude to people when people were going to sell their stuff. They would treat people like, I know this is the only option you got, so I'm offering you $5. You can take it or get the hell out. And so my wife would look this stuff up on eBay to see what the auctions are ending for, and then they would figure out a price in between, so it's fair for them and fair for her. Mm-hmm. Well, the police decided one day they were going to come in and start harassing her. So they came in and started trying to search her store and check all this stuff, and she told them no, I fill out the seller's form just like the pawn shops, and I send them in to you guys. If there's something in here that's stolen and you have a report, you show me the report. I'll make a copy of it, and then you can take the item or whatever it is, because we ain't trying to roll like that. But no, they wanted to come in and search her store and treat. They're like 3 police cars parked in front of the shop, and there's only 6 spaces. So they're just trying to make it look like she's dirty so people will see all of this stuff, So she told him, you got to get the hell out of my store. I ain't having it. And she kicked him out. Well, the whole ordeal that we went through, it wasn't because we're a black and white couple. It was because they were picking on my wife for standing up for herself because she's a woman.
Horrible.
That's what it was. And most people think it's black and white thing. In the beginning, we said that, but I'm just being straight with you. That's what it was about, them disrespecting her because she was a woman standing up for herself.
Wow. That's amazing. And you guys look cute together. You're an adorable couple. No, that's true. So I'm really glad that you guys found each other. Color has nothing to do with it. It's just the heart, right? It's the strength of the character and the heart.
Ain't that the truth? And she is a badass. And I'm just going to say that right now. I'm so proud of her. She went through what she went through, and she never gave up. And I never gave up either. And the 6 years that she spent on her government vacation, I spent learning and protecting her along the way. And those are some stories that's going to be for a different day. For today, I want to make sure that people are aware that I've never been convicted of any crimes. I stood up for my wife, getting her back. And I posted all kind of stuff on the internet that they did not want me posting. I set up a blog site. I posted all their fraudulent documents. I stuck it all in their face, and the state stepped down. They did not want anything to do with it. And then the police department got people in the federal government to do a favor and to come after us. And everybody knows, well, the federal government says they got a 98% conviction rate. Well, it's not a conviction rate, it's a plea rate.
Mm-hmm.
Because all 98% of those people took pleas. And for me, while I was on my vacation, I started figuring that out. Wait a minute. If they have a 98% plea rate and all of those people had attorneys, then I got a 2% chance of getting the hell out of here if I don't take an attorney.
Right.
And so I've had 14 attorneys throughout the whole ordeal. Well, actually 15, including the appellate attorney. Anyway, so I refused to stop blogging. The judge told me to stop blogging and stop complaining. I was only allowed to talk about my case to immediate family members. That's what the judge told me. Judge Murguia out of Kansas City, Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I continued to blog. And I sent out an email to Washington, D.C., requesting an investigation into the prosecutor's office for what they were doing to us. And I actually CC'd a foster kid. My wife and I had done foster care for like 11 years. And we've had 28 kids, 1, 2, or 3 at a time, in addition to our own 3 kids and a niece that we raised. And I sent an email, and this foster kid's a teenager. And my goal was to let these people that are following our case know that we're not giving up and we ain't taking no deal because we're not guilty. Well, the government decided that since I included that foster kid in my email, that I violated the judge's order to stop blogging. And I was only allowed to talk to family members, which was stupid, because anytime that you love a kid, that kid is part of your family. Right. There's no foster kid, step kid. The kid is part of your family. It's just the kid. Anyway, so they locked me up for contempt of court because I refused to stop blogging. And, you know, I have a right to blog. I mean, I have a right to say whatever I want to say as long as I'm not hurting anybody or whatever. So after they got me locked up, after 2 months, they came and talked to me. My attorney and the investigator came, the investigator that was supposed to be helping my wife, and we found later was throwing her under the bus. They came to talk to me to see if I would. They told me they could get me out today. All I needed to do was to let them know that there was something going on in my wife's store. Yeah, I'm like, okay, wait a minute now. This is my high school sweetheart that I married. We've been married 42 years to date. I still feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world. And they want me to lie because they don't have shit. It's crazy. Okay, they never realized that I was running interference in the first place because I wasn't letting them take her without a fight. So they needed me out of the way. And so I just kind of played it off. I didn't, then they came the second time and asked me the same crap 3.5 months later. And it pissed me off. And I told them that there is no way that I'm going to lie for them. And I was not in a hurry to get out because I like the food here. I can't believe I told them that. That's what So they got really pissed. And they left. And the next thing I know, my attorney told them that I was mentally ill, that I was incompetent, and I couldn't help. I was delusional because I thought the police were screwing us over. And so that really, I really hadn't planned on all that. So when that happened, they started shipping me all over the country for mental evaluations while they had me under control while they were going after my wife. And I've had 4 mental evaluations in 4 different states. They actually sent me back to Butler, North Carolina with a forced medication order, which was pretty scary. Because when you're a big dude like me, I'm not really too worried about being in prison because, it's going to be a dogfight if anybody wants to. I boxed for 4 years, and I play football. So, but going back with that forced medication order, that was scary. That was scary. And I appealed the order from the medical facility and I won. So now I blocked them from medicating me. They were really pissed then.
You think?
And I actually did it with help from friends outside sending me information that I needed to learn that I could not access while I was in there. So I'm just going to throw it, and there was times when I looked down and in the sand and there was not a size 16 footprint. So I'm just going to tell you right now, God had my back the whole way and still does. And that's made one huge difference. So
That's an amazing story, man. Amazing.
Once I actually got back to Kansas, they had to let me go. And it was really interesting how that worked out. But they did let me go. And when they let me go, I had 12 cases against me. I had one firearm case against me that I got when I was being shipped around with them for all the mental evaluations. I was like, what the hell? There must be another guy out there. Anyway, yeah. So it took me 2 years to get all of the cases dismissed and going back and forth to federal court. And I'll tell you right now. So one day I went to federal court for a hearing, and I'm walking up to the door, and the marshals looked at me and they said, "Oh, Mr. Neighbors, don't worry about getting your ID out because we know who you are." And so I was like, okay, that sounds that can be good when the marshals know who I am when I'm walking up here. And the young guys were the same guys that is in the basement processing people and stuff when they bring you into the basement when you have to go, And so I actually knew them by their name because I've been through there so many times, And so I walked in, there was one old dude standing in the corner with his arms folded, looking all tough and grumpy. And I said, well, I always try to look at things from the positive side. So at least I'm getting to walk in the front door instead of being brought up the elevator, chained and shackled. And the young dude started laughing. And the old dude, I'm like, dude, relax, But anyway, so I spent the time waiting for my wife to come home, learning what I needed to learn to make sure that they're not going to be able to get in her face again. And that's what this is all about. That's what I do. And I got really good at it. And now I help other people. And I specialize in foreclosure defense because of how they treated me when I was trying to fight for my own property. And it pissed me off. And I'm not a very good loser. So my kids will tell you, you try to kind of you try to kind of smooth it over for the kids because you don't want the kids to think that that's the only thing, that's important. But it kind of is. So that's what the deal is with me. And I'm here to help people. And I think that's reflected by what I say and do, the prices that I charge for people, and the people that I help that are struggling. So anybody that wants to talk crap on me, you can line up and you can talk crap all you want to, because I'm not going to let that slow down my process. And I approve this message.
And you know what? You're doing an incredible job, man. Listen, you can't fight City Hall, but you did. And, you proved to yourself and everybody around you that you don't have to take a plea. Yeah. Because, a lot of times again, what you said is absolutely true. It happened to me. Oh, why can't you take this deal? I don't want to take the deal. I didn't do anything wrong here. I didn't do anything wrong. I just want my house back. I want my life back. Sometimes people take the plea deal because they don't want to deal with more arguments and more fighting and more infighting. And, you've got family members pushing you this way. You got the state pushing you that way. And you're in between. And it's like, God help me. But you know what? I'm going to be strong. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get through this. And on the other side of this, we're going to show not only you and I, but other people that you don't have to sit there and take it.
You don't have to give up
what you want.
You don't have to give up.
No, and you have to know their game, which is what you teach.
Yeah. And
And very
boy,
well.
I
I love you,
yeah.
brother. I really do. I wish there was more people like you. I
Well,
really do.
well, I appreciate that. I had a lady tell me one day, she's one of my clients, and told me one day, she says, guy, Coach Neighbors, I wish you were my next door neighbor. And I said, no, I don't think so. And she said, oh, yeah, I do. I wish you were my neighbor. I was like, no, Pauline, you don't wish I was your neighbor. And she said, well, why, Coach? I said, well, because it's been 3 weeks. You haven't got a single document filed. If I was your neighbor, I had to be over there in your face and you would be on the bench.
You got to force people to do things.
I kind of gave her a hard time, but
Got to motivate them somehow. I go through that with my daughters. My both daughters don't want to do a lot of things. And I'm like, well, if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. Guess what? Years later on, it's all going to be your work anyway. So you're going to have to do it anyway. So do it now. Get it done.
So I spent most of the week on Facebook and letting people know about the property tax package and about how that property tax situation is what the city, the control of the deed to your property is what the city is using to control the Airbnbs, to do the code zoning and coding and all of that. And here's the deal. I like to keep it simple. The deal is, there's no law that mandates you have to put the deed to your property in their office. So, are you consenting to all that bullshit that they stick in your face? Are you consenting to the property tax? If you don't oppose, then you're consenting. Now, most of the time, people have no idea. But once you have an idea, then you're consenting because you're not opposing. And what I tell people is this: there's no law that forces you to put your deed in their property. So you should be able to formally request it back. What they're doing is totally illegal because they're taking your private property, they're reclassifying it as one of their 3 classifications for the sole purpose of taxation. And it's totally illegal. So I always tell people, look, you guys need to decide how you want to handle it. You can keep paying, that's fine. And people will say, oh, the schools and this and that. You know, I have no problem paying taxes to run the schools, even if I don't have kids in school. I got no problem with that. But, dude, what they're charging you and every year going up, and this is the kicker, if you can't pay, then what? Then the city's going to come after your property and own it. I had a lady fighting to keep her property because the city said she owed them $1,800. Now, it wasn't the city of Lawrence. We're not talking about the city of Lawrence. I'm just talking about a city. I'm not really saying where because it's not anybody's business, but $1,800 was what she owed, and they were filing foreclosure against her property for $1,800. So that don't make no sense to me. So now they're going to make them homeless when the property tax collection is illegal in the first place. And one of the things that people told me in the group is, well, the city makes laws. No, the city does not make laws. People believe what attorneys have fed us for years, and it's such BS. The city does not make laws. The cities make ordinances. In order for something to be a law, it has to have 3 elements. Check your state constitution for yourself. Don't take my word for it. It has to have 3 elements to be considered a real law. It has to have an enacting clause, it has to have a title, and it has to have a body. And if you look up what a statute is, it actually says it's a law enacted by the state local government. But there's no enacting clause next to the codes and statutes. And since when can a corporation give itself judicial authority? The laws are made by Congress and by legislature, not the city of Lawrence. The city of Lawrence makes ordinances, and ordinances are below codes. They're statutes, codes, and ordinances. And when you get down to ordinances, you're in a freaking trash can. They have no authority. They only have authority over city employees. Those rules and stuff are for city employees. The stuff that they're holding against you to take your property with, the code, the statute that they're using foreclosure court to take your property with, it doesn't have the necessary elements to be considered a valid law. But people think that revised codes and statutes are laws. No, revised codes and statutes are corporate rules that were put in place back when they changed from statutes at large, where our laws were that were connected to the Constitution. And people go into court thinking they have rights, and the judge this. You're in administrative court. You don't have no rights, and the judge don't give a crap about you.
That's right. That's right.
And people who think that find out. You know, one of the things I ask people a lot of times, whenever I'm doing a presentation, I'll ask them, so who do you think's in charge in court? The judge or the attorney? And I give you a couple of seconds to think about it. And then all the people that said the judge need to go home and pack because you just got hosed. And I'm being a little humorous here. Maybe some of you people that are facing packing don't think it's funny, but you know what? It's the freaking fact. And the most important thing is, if you don't get this right now, you will either be packing or they will be throwing your stuff out on the street while you're gone to work. I've helped people in both situations. Sad. I had one lady that was working in Florida. She lived in Georgia. She hired an attorney, and the attorney told her they had a hearing date on her lawsuit that the attorney filed for her for wrongful foreclosure. And I was like, dang, really? Yeah. But her neighbors just called her and told her that they were putting her stuff out on the curb.
Right.
So apparently her attorney didn't do anything. And not only did her house go into foreclosure, it actually sold. And she didn't know. And she's driving home while her stuff's out in the rain to try to, so I was helping her. I'm not sure how her situation worked out, but it's sad. It's really sad what people go through. I have had people telling me sometime when I'm texting, messaging them back and forth, you need to do this. They're like, well, no, I've got them backed in the corner right now. I'm going to wait till I get, this done before I give them your bond. I'm like, no, dude, do it, And then they tell me, well, you need to relax, because I'm a coach. Okay. I don't have the whistle to blow in your face, but I can certainly send some words over that you need to be hearing right now, because you're not doing what the program's supposed to be doing. And so I was told that I need to relax. And 2 weeks later, the guy got evicted, and he called me in a panic. And I told him, I said, man, this is why I was telling you to. I know.
Yeah.
So on a good note, I got a message on my YouTube channel from Roger, and I can't say his last name because he's from Louisiana, so it's Barduo something. I don't know. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's in the Facebook page, and he's also follows us on my YouTube channel. I tried to contact him last night to get him to call in. He messaged. He left a comment in the comment section on my YouTube channel on the latest stream that I posted, that they removed all of his property information from the city website. He had been going after them with the eliminate property tax lawsuit package, and I don't think he actually filed it. What I think, so in one of the videos, I cover what you need to know to call down there and give them a hard time. To call down there, ask them and let them know that your property has been wrongfully classified, and you'd like them to change the classification back to private. And so he did that, and they just kind of hem-hawed around, and so finally he went ahead and served them his notice of claim letter. And he said after he served them a notice of claim letter, the next day they drove by his house, and he actually took a picture of the car on the levee across the street. It was one of the little city cars that they bought with all of that tax money that should have been going to the schools. And they were watching him. And then he said a couple of weeks later, they lowered his property tax value from, I don't know, $46,000 to $22,000 or something like that. So I told him that was their offer to him. And he's like, no, I need my deed, So he served them his notice of claim, and he told me about 3-4 weeks passed, they came to his house. So the city attorney and a council member and somebody else came to his house to explain to him that he had to pay property taxes, that he must pay property taxes. Of course, Roger done his homework, so he understood. He didn't have to look at the form to get in their face. And he let him know, what was going on. No. You guys illegally classified my property and, blah, blah, blah. Well, they left. And then the last communication he sent me, he let me know that they removed his information from their computer. Now, my response to that was, that's great. And he was really excited. And I told him that he needed to continue on the path, because until he has the deed and the title in his hand, then he's not the one in control. I mean, he's kind of in control now, but I've had people that told me that they got their property taken off the tax scroll, and then 2 years later they put it back on there. So
they give you a little hiatus, and then they want you to, stop worrying, and then all of a sudden they do it again.
Yep.
You're 100% right.
Yep.
100% right.
So Roger said that they removed his from the list, and I sold quite a few of these over the weekend. I don't really want to put the number on it because it's nobody's business, but I'm hoping that some of those people will come forward and get on the show. If you invest in one of these deals, then I want to make sure that people know how you feel about what you got. So that's one. So let's get to the subject matter here. Let me pull up them. So controlling the attorneys in a hearing. How to control the attorneys in the hearing. So, and I came up with this. I had a guy call me the other day, and he was had this problem. Well, he called me and said he's going to a hearing. He called me after dinner and told me he had a hearing in the morning at 8:30, and he was wondering if I could help him with some pointers or whatever. So my first thing was him was like, okay, so I'm the coach. So the first thing the coach is going to say is, dude, we should have been having this conversation last week. So I had to yell at him for waiting until the last minute. But anyway, and I thought this would be perfect for today. So when you have a hearing with an attorney, particularly in foreclosure court, okay, the first thing, you want to be the first one to introduce yourself and speak up. Introduce yourself as a state citizen. Hang on one second. I got to turn my fan on.
All right. Good stuff, guys. We're learning a lot from Coach Neighbors today. Also teaching you to fight back and not just go walking away with your tail between your legs. Remember, your family's watching you. You're watching you. And you're only as strong as you think you are. You're only as happy as you think you are. And you have to fight everything in life. Everything is a fight. Everything. But it's well worth it.
Okay. Sorry about that. I had to turn my fan on. Still there?
We are here.
Okay. So the first thing you want to do is speak up first. Introduce yourself as a state citizen of the Republic state or the state that you were born in. And I would let the court know that that's important, because as a state citizen, the court's statutory jurisdiction does not apply without an injured party. And I'll post these notes when we're done and I get this video. I'll post these. I'll post all the things I'm saying here in the comment section, so you can copy and paste them, so you don't have to worry about trying to write them all out right now or whatever. Okay, so you want to be the first one to speak up, and right away you want to move to dismiss their action with an oral motion to dismiss, because they do not have a witness. Now, this is particularly for judicial foreclosures. And in the end, if we have time, I'll talk a little bit about the non-judicial, how you do the same thing in that case, but you would be working in the eviction court, because in a non-judicial, the only time you're in court, unless you file your own lawsuit, is when you get to the eviction court. So you want to make sure that you do an oral motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, because there is no witness. And everything that you do in court to defend your property should hinge on the court's lack of jurisdiction. That's why we don't talk about all of that stuff that you went through, all of the lenders. We don't talk about the banking system. We only talk about the jurisdiction, because that's the only chance that you have to make them stand down. And the next thing that you want to tell them is that the attorney can't testify. The attorney cannot testify. The attorney cannot testify. And here's the reason why the attorney cannot testify: because the attorney's testimony is considered third-party hearsay and not admissible. Only the witness can testify. And that's really important. So every time the attorney opens his mouth or her mouth, you want to object. And you're objecting because the attorney is testifying. Every single time the attorney opens his mouth, you want to object. Every time. Now, the only time that you want to not do this is if the judge threatens you with contempt of court. If the judge don't threaten you with contempt of court, then you keep being a pain in their butt, because you need to let the attorney know, because the attorney is the one running the show. You need to let the attorney know you're going to be a pain in his butt or her butt. And if the attorney insists on testifying, I would demand the judge swear the attorney in so you can cross-examine the freaking attorney. Now, this is really cool, because now the attorney's going to have to either shut the hell up, or the attorney's going to have to get sworn in so you can cross-examine him. Because if the judge is going to allow the attorney to testify and to give testimony in court, you have the right to cross-examine the attorney. Now, here's the problem with that. Once you cross-examine the attorney is considered part of the case and can't litigate the case anymore. I know. I love doing this. We're using their own stuff to stick right in their face to make them have to go sit down. Now, the attorney is the only party that signed the foreclosure complaint. That means that the attorney is the one that's suing you, not the lender. Now, I know most people think, oh, what's that got to do with anything? That's a serious problem. If the attorney is the plaintiff and they lied on the lawsuit and said it's the lender, then that's a fatal flaw. All of this you want to get in read verbally in the court record. This is how you take over. You get this read in the court record, you will back the judge up in the corner. Because now the judge is not able to be in control, and neither is the attorney. And I would tell the judge that there's a fatal flaw in the action because the attorney lied to the court, and the attorney is the actual plaintiff illegally foreclosing, acting as a third-party debt collector. And your legal team is going to address that in the wrongful foreclosure / breach of contract lawsuit that they're working on, that you should have filed in federal court. And I would let the judge know that the court does not have jurisdiction because the attorney is a foreign agent, and a foreign agent must file any action in federal court. That would be like someone from another country suing you in state court, or even another state suing you in state court. That's not the way it goes. the attorneys are considered foreign agents. And in order for a foreign agent to file a claim, they have to file in federal court. So the fact that they filed in state court is obvious fraud. And I would tell that to I would get that on the record, right, so the judge can see that. And I would give them time if they want to talk. And that's why it's good to make notes or even have them on your phone. You can have this stuff on your phone where you can read it off of your phone. It don't matter if you're reading it. It don't matter if you're reading it word for word. What matters is that you get this on the court record. That's what matters. You get it on the court record, and now it's a problem. Now you're going to see the attorney's going to start objecting. So you want to make sure you tell the judge the court does not have jurisdiction without an injured party. And if the court takes jurisdiction without an injured party, then the court's going to be liable for damages. This is one of the ways that I teach people to, actually some of the ways that I teach people to take control when you go to court, because the judge and the attorney, they're not going to have a hearing until they've already decided how they want to take care of you. They already decided what your fate's going to be. And this guy that went into court to discuss this stuff, when he went into court, he wasn't sure what the hearing was. And I told him the hearing was to see if he has any balls. The hearing was to figure out if he's gonna fight or not. That's what the hearing is for. And so he said all these things that I just told you are the things that I shared with him. And I'm hoping to have him call the show. He said he was actually working, so this is not a good time for people that are working to call, because they have to do it on their lunch or whatever. But anyway, he told me that they set a trial date for November 16th. And he said, that's going to give me time to get my shit together and get in the online course. And I said, dude, you did a good job. He said, well, I don't feel like it. I said, dude, you never feel like you did a good job when you get done coming out of their shithole. I'm sorry. You know, even myself, I know all this stuff when I come out of there. And I always tell people, never judge how well things went the same day when you left. Wait a day or so. Replay it in your head. Because when you replay everything in your head, you'll find out that you got some good punches in. They just took them and smiled like it wasn't that big a deal, because they're not used to that and they don't know what to do when you do punch them in the face.
That's right.
So I tell people, if you went into court and you walked out of court and you still had your whole ass intact and you didn't lose anything, they didn't take anything from you, you did good. You did good. If they set the date, you did good, because they're going to change that date. They're going to keep moving that date around until you get your stuff filed in federal court. And once you get it filed in a higher court, then you can move your stuff over there and shut them people down and tell them to get out of your face. That's what's up. And he was really excited, because he said they were getting really grumpy with him with his objection stuff. But see, here's the deal. If you don't object, then the judge thinks that they can just walk over you because you're not going to do anything. And probably 90% of the people don't object and don't know what to do because they're too scared. And I saw a post on the Facebook page that Michelle Savage posted, and I told her, I'm going to steal this and use it right now. I hope that's okay. And her post was, if you can't get the fear under control, do it scared.
Just do it.
Just do it scared.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, and I always tell people that when you have fear about going into court, okay, and when you're in sports, you learn this. Okay, so if you have fear about going into court, So what is you more fear of? Are you more fear of going into court than you are packing your shit? I would hope most people would say, oh, hell no. But I've had a couple of people tell me, well, I'm kind of, and I tell people, look, my program is not for everybody. I don't help everybody. My program is not for everybody. Because if you can't get the fear under control, you're not going to be successful in my program. Because my program addresses the stuff that they don't want to talk about. And I think the guy that I was talking about earlier that I said, ended up getting evicted. He came to me one day in the very beginning of being on in the program. He called me up. And he's like, I just got some questions to ask you. I said, so what's up? He said, asked me questions about something. I just explained all this stuff to him already like twice. And then he said, well, I'm asking again because I just got done talking to a couple of my attorney friends, and they're telling me this and they're telling me that. And I didn't handle it too well. I was like, okay, dude, seriously? Are you kidding me right now? So maybe you need to go to them and have them help you. And no, dude, I'm serious. So I kind of gathered myself together and I told him, I said, look, in the future, if you have a question about something that I'm teaching or I'm doing or whatever, call and ask me. Okay. Especially if you can't look it up on Google or do some research on it, you're welcome to call and ask me about it. But please don't tell me you're calling because the attorney told you that something different than what I'm saying. Okay. Because if you ain't figuring out by now that the attorneys lie when their mouth's moving, I'm not going to be able to help you. And yeah, so I actually posted that in the group, just telling everybody. Apparently, I get a little pissed off with when people call me to question what I'm saying and doing because of what the attorney told them. I'm like, dude, the attorneys are the reason why you're in the position you're in right now.
Right.
They're the ones trying to steal your shit. It ain't the lender. And unfortunately, it was a little late for him when he figured that out. Now, there is one other thing I want to talk about. So we got a few more minutes, right?
Yeah, you actually got about 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. So there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. The jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit is still at $200. I have not changed it. I was actually going to change it when the online course started. I have other documents that the online course students are using that are badass. So I didn't worry about it because this document has been stopping things and causing a lot of problem for these attorneys. Now, the way people are using it and what I'm finding from talking to people all over the place that are using it is people are allowing them to turn that document into their conventional program. And people are allowing their attorneys and the judges to do that because the attorneys can't respond. Well, it's a jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit. They can't respond by counter affidavit because everything they're doing is fraud. So the judge steps in. But what's happening is people are not aware of how many days the other party has to answer. And most people that aren't aware of that end up putting themselves back in the conventional program. Because when the judge sees that number of days passed and they haven't answered and you haven't done shit, then the judge is like, well, then they're waiting on me to rule. So I'm going to just go ahead and well, in one case, the judge for this guy that I was talking about, the judge actually denied his challenge of jurisdiction and the motion to moot all the attorney's pleadings until jurisdiction has been filed on the record.
Mm-hmm.
He denied both of them. Now, I told the guy, until you attack the judge, they're not going to have any respect for you. So it doesn't matter. He called me, what can I file now? Dude, you need to make them respect what you filed already. But when you believe and have attorney friends and you believe that stuff, then it's hard for you to step up and defend yourself when you're bringing something new to the table.
Right.
And that's the situation. So people need to understand that there's a time frame that these fools have to respond. You need to understand what that time frame is. And you can figure that out. I could tell you, but my job is not to make it easy for you. My job is to help you learn. So you need to go to the civil rules of procedure and you need to figure out what the time frame is for responding to pleadings. That's what you need to do. You need to figure that out. You need to figure out what your options are for non-response. And I'm going to help you with that. In the packet is if you got any of the either one of the lawsuit packages, there is a notice of default in that package. And that notice of default needs to be filed the day they're over the limit. The day they're over the limit, that needs to be filed ASAP. And what you're doing is letting the court and letting them all know that you know what's going on and that they're in default. If you don't do that, then the judge is going to assume that you're waiting for him or her to rule, and yeah, you know how that's going to go. Now, the other thing is in the packet, if the judge throws you under the bus, in the packet is a notice of claim against the judge. Now, I added the magistrate judge reconsideration zip file into both the judicial and non-judicial packages. And in that file is, I think, 4 or 5 documents that you would use to get up in the judge's face. You have the motion of reconsideration, you have the motion to, you have the objection and notice of claim against the judge. And that notice of claim, you're going after the judge for violation of the Administrative Procedures Act, as well as violation of 242 and 241 and a couple other things that have to do with the Constitution. The constitutional stuff is where you ask for your money. The administrative, violating the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946, that is an administrative issue, and it's actually a federal law. I looked it up because for me, if it don't have an acting clause, it's a piece of crap. And I can't be using something to kick these people's butt if it's a piece of crap because they know it's a piece of crap. This was acted in the federal law in 1946. And if you want to research the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946, you have to put of 1946 on there in the search, or you'll pull up Cornell Law Library of watered down bullcrap. I pulled that up and it had nothing to do. Now, what the Administrative Procedures Act is a federal law that was passed to force these corporations to have their policies and procedures in line with the Constitution. So if you win with this, you can force them to they would not be able to make any money if they had to make their policies and procedures in line with the Constitution. Just think about it. The police officer wouldn't be able to give anybody a ticket because the police officer signing the ticket violating the separation clause of the Constitution.
That's so true.
And think about it. The traffic court judge wouldn't be able to have anybody in his court because the municipal court gets its jurisdiction from the city ordinance, not Congress or the Constitution. So all of those people that go in the city court are getting hosed. Yeah. So if you force them to have their policies and procedures in line with the Constitution, that's going to be a problem. And I'll tell you right now, that is one of the main things that I used to protect my wife while she was on her government vacation. And yeah, I filled the halfway house up with 2 dudes in suits one day when they were giving her a hard time. She was in Florida and I was in Arizona. And I was like, oh, hell no, we ain't having it. So I put together a notice of claim. I sent it to Suncoast, which is the corporation that runs the halfway house in Florida. Yeah. And they said the next day they sent 2 dudes in suits over to go talk to my wife. Yeah, and it was kind of funny because I was actually talking to my wife on the phone, and she was telling me, "Yeah, we've been cleaning because these people are coming, and and no one knew that they were, why they were coming." And so I was actually talking to her on the phone while they were there, and one of them said, "So who's Miss Neighbors?" Of course, I was like, "Oh my God, they're asking for me. I'm going to the hole." Like, dude, relax. And they actually talked to her. They wanted to know if everything got worked out. And she told them, yeah, they gave me my phone back. Everything got worked out. There's no problems. And then they asked her if her husband was happy. Yeah. Of course, then the rest of the people in Howard House did not want to mess with her because, yeah, we just had these people from Suits come down there. Yeah. And the sad thing is, I called down there and talked to them about the problem, and they hung up on me twice. Oh, man, my forehead was red. Oh, yeah. So they got to know. And then, so I finally went to Florida. I went to go pick her up a couple of times, and they got to meet me. And well, most of them, I didn't have a problem. Just the one lady that got in trouble when the Suits showed up. Yeah, she did not like me at all. And I didn't like her either. So it went both ways. She'd yell stuff, and I tell her to shut up. I'm not a resident, and I don't have to follow all that crap. Yeah, my wife says there's some people inside was like, who's that dude in the white truck? I like him. He ain't taking crap from nobody. And we're like, yeah, that's my husband. Oh, my God. Yeah. But you know what? We shouldn't have to be like that.
Right.
We should not have to be like that. You should be getting treated with respect until you have not earned it. And when you have not earned the respect, then you should be treated like crap. But you should not be treated like crap when you are not trying to cause problems for people. So that was a lot. We got the weekend sale out there, and I'm going to let me make a sticky note here so I can make sure I change those prices.
Let me intervene and make a comment too. I love what you said there. It's just if we don't stick up for what we're going to believe in, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And the fact that you told them that you're a non-resident, they don't care, but you do, because you have to know the laws. But the laws, like you said, were written by other people. The laws are also, I guess you would say, obligated to further the court and the system that
right.
you're in, because if you can stop the bleeding of the court against the people, the court system don't need to be there. So just like you said, the police don't need to be there. None of that stuff needs to happen. They don't need to ticket people, because in the Constitution, it tells you all that. So why are cities, municipalities, and council and all these little type of places allowed to do that against the Constitution? That's the question we should be asking. Why are they allowed to do that? They have the flag in the back. They swear on the Constitution. They swear on the Bible. They swear on the Constitution. Why are they allowed to go against our constitutional amendments and rights? That's what I want to know. And we let them do it.
That's why.
Intimidation. Listen, the IRS is the same way. I'm not going to say that I don't agree with them. I don't disagree with them. But IRS has never passed a law where people have to pay taxes.
Actually, the government,
it was never
Congress have never passed a law where people have to pay taxes. Right. You're 100% right. Those taxes and the IRS codes and stuff were for people who are in the government, in the 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. Right. That stuff was made for them. But
they made it so you could ask the IRS commissioners, they won't show you the law. There's no law that says you have to pay taxes. But the intimidation to pay the taxes is very important, because they will come down on you. You owe the taxes. You owe the taxes. We're going to fine you. But there's no law. We're going to fine you. They don't care. And the position of the court is the same as the IRS. This is just duplicate in a different area. That's all.
And that's absolutely true. And people have no idea. So here's the scam on that. They assume that everybody are citizens of the federal government. Remember, I said those taxes and all that stuff were people in Washington, D.C. And when you go into court, you're letting that court know that you are a citizen of the republic state you were born in. And this is what you need to tell them too. the attorneys have this whole thing twisted up because they think you're a citizen of the federal government. And you're not a citizen of the federal government because nobody can be born in a fake fictitious entity.
Right. That's right.
Done. I like to keep it simple.
That's right.
Because when you keep it simple, there ain't no room for arguing. When arguing starts, the judge gets to help them. That's how their system is structured. All of my documents are structured with stuff they don't want to argue about.
Well, we're going to bring them out, I'm sure, and it's stuff like that keeps the blood boiling in me, because as a person, as a sovereign person in this country, we have the rights to everything that we believe we have the rights to, unless the law says we don't. If there's no law, then what are you fighting?
Yes, and we have way more power than people realize, and people don't know how to use it. Now, people tell me, "Oh, well, it looks like you're engaged in unauthorized practice law without a license." Well, we already went on the fact that there's no license, and we talked about that in the Square versus Board of Examiners. The Supreme Court has ruled that no state can license the practice of law. But let's be more specific, okay, and keep it simple. The law right now, it's not about the law. If they want to say I'm practicing anything, it's public policy, corporate rules. That's what this is about. It's not about any laws, because they're not following any laws. They're following statutes and codes and ordinances. No laws. Oh, wait. When you Google it, it says that the city enacted this. Well, the city can't enact laws. That's freaking ridiculous. What corporation can give itself judicial authority? Oh, wait, the city does, and they use it against people all day in municipal court. You talk about a scam.
It's a huge scam. It's a bullying issue. It's a scam issue. If we could take apart every little piece of that puzzle, you would see that none of it fits. It only fits their perspective. It doesn't fit a law. It doesn't for a statute. It doesn't forget an obligation. We don't have to pay or do anything that we don't agree to. You're right. They trick us to believe that we do.
Yep.
And that's the only part that we need to try to tell other people that, listen, we're not telling you not to pay anything. Research it yourself. Do your diligence and look for all this stuff. But remember, by paying, you're agreeing to.
Absolutely.
Wow. What a show today. Fired up.
I have 3 more pages of notes, so we'll have to extend this out. But
oh, I want to tell you, we're also on today. We're on Smoking Bacon Radio. This is another radio station that I've been running and doing. They're a big military radio station. Big military website and app that's for the military and people around it. And I work with the owner and I run that station, so I can control how I want to put anything out there until he tells me different. But other than that, this show is broadcasting now live on that station on top of Hamilton Radio. Well,
I have 2 kids in the military, two of my boys in the military, and my middle daughter is also a hero. She's an educator in Florida, and she teaches high school kids and IB kids that are actually already taking college courses. So all 4 of my kids, I have another foster kid that's my kid too. And her name is Shaq. She's also a hero. All 4 of my kids are heroes. But I'll tell you right now, you're a hero
too, brother.
I military people rank in my book because I know, the president, our president has changed some things and made it a lot nicer, and they're compensating the military people more than they were. But in my opinion, they don't get near what they should have.
Absolutely.
They don't get for what they sacrifice. So if there's military people that need help in foreclosure or what I do, they need to call me. I have a special price for them.
That's awesome. That's just unbelievable. So give out all your information again. How can they get it? Where can they get it? I'll put that on here too.
My website's at When in Court Now. My website's at whenincourtnow.com. And my phone number is 913-240-0227. My email address is whenincourts, WINCOURTS, the number 1 at gmail.com. And when you go to my website, I have videos posted on my website. So you can click on those videos and head over to my YouTube channel and take a look at my stuff. I want to thank everybody for supporting me on YouTube. I reached my first 1,000 subscribers.
All right.
And
I love it.
I told my neighbor that when I qualified host ads on my site, I'm going to run around outside in my underwear. And she was like, oh my, So when I posted that I had my 1,000 subscribers, she was like, and she sent me a message, should I close my blinds? I was like, no, I still have another qualification I need to make before I get to run around outside in my underwear.
Oh, that's great, man.
So now I'm getting the hours I need. I think I'm at like less than 1,000 hours of watch time. I needed 4,000 hours of watch time. And that watch time was coming really slow, but it's actually really sped up now with the live streams and being able to talk about a whole bunch of different things as opposed to making a video about one thing for 15 or 20 minutes, So that's made a big difference in the watch time hours. So I had a lady message me yesterday, and she told me that she bought one of my lawsuit packages, and she told me that the package is worth $500 even after I qualify for YouTube. And so I told her, I said, well, I appreciate that, but right now people are struggling to pay the $500. So it's not about the money for me. It's about trying my best to put myself in a position where I can help a lot of people. So that's what I'm doing. I said, it's not about the money. It's about being able to help people get to stay in their house and not be railroaded by these attorneys. These attorneys threw me under the bus, and now it's on, and this is a life mission for me, and I'm pretty good at it.
Well, they did it to me too, so I'm right there with you, brother. And listen, if we can get sponsors for the show, that would be great too. We're looking for sponsors. Admin at HamiltonRadio.net. I will also share that with you as a thank you for helping me help you get your goals.
Well, that would be wonderful. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk. And
I told you it's going to be fun. We're going to have a ball, and we're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to be happy and help a lot of people. So
yep, and help out a lot of people too. So
absolutely. So thank you again for a great show. We learned a lot, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See if I can see what we're going to do to top this.
It's going to be hard. You'll do it.
I'll figure something out.
You'll do it.
Thanks, buddy. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.